Welcome everyone to this episode of Chai Tea Naan Bread. Reiner's here, and so is Imran. Imran, say hi.
Hey everybody, Rainer, how you doing, man?
Good man. It's been such a while. 3 weeks I think now since our last.
Almost,
Yeah,
almost 3 weeks since we did this last.
yeah. What's been going on? 3 weeks. What's been going on?
Nothing much, man. Just busy with work. Ramadan, we're in Ramadan right now.
Right, right. Ramadan Kareem.
Thank you so much, man. Thank you so much. So just busy with that. It's been hectic because, as you may recall, like last Ramadan, like I had lost my job.
Right.
So the silver lining to that was I had lost my job just before Ramadan, and I was able to spend all my time, like having the spiritual, on a spiritual journey. It was
Right.
good.
Right.
I was able to pray and dedicate myself to that. So it was very relaxing, very good.
Right.
This year, thankfully, I have a job, but pros and cons. So now I go to work in the morning and then I'm fasting as well. So
Right.
plus my commute, it's like almost an hour each way. So it's been exhausting, but man, health is good, and it's 10 days already, man.
Yeah.
Ramadan is flying, so yeah.
I guess you gotta count your blessings, right? It really is a testament to the month of Ramadan, and understanding the fact that the sacrifice it takes, to kind of go through what it is that you need to, and to be appreciative of other things that you have, including the time that you had last year, right? So
Exactly, man. Exactly. So, as you say, you just count your blessings every day, right? Like,
right,
regardless of how small your blessings are.
right,
Like last year, I recall, like, I didn't have a job, right? But at the
right,
same time, it was like, hey, man, if I had a job, I wouldn't be able to dedicate as much time to Ramadan, right?
right, right,
So, you got to count your blessings, whatever happens, happens. As you know, I'm a very spiritual person.
right,
So, I've always had that mantra where, when things happen, they happen for a reason.
right,
And uh, there's always a way, like karma just evens itself out,
right,
right? Things
right,
all work out in the end.
right, right. No, definitely. And that brings us to a really big global event that's happening this year, right? Later this year in December, we have the wonderful sport of football, right?
Yeah.
Because that's how you play it, with your feet and a ball. So hence
No,
football.
not soccer. You're not talking about the soccer World Cup. You're talking about the football World Cup.
Right. That's supposed to be held in Doha, Qatar this year. My place of birth, right? So shout out to that place.
So since you were born there, I'm assuming you'll be going. Like, what's the deal? Like, are you?
Yeah, I was actually hoping to go because it's funny enough, I did stand in that digital line, but then when I read those terms and conditions, I wasn't really sure whether I wanted to get stuck with tickets and not have a chance to go because there's quite a process, right? I'm hope.
So let's we'll come back to that terms and conditions you're talking about,
Yeah,
because that's
yeah,
very interesting. Like, I did not know about those terms and conditions
right,
until you brought it up. So, but
right,
we'll come to that. We'll back up a bit. Um, we'll talk about the ticket buying process for
correct.
the World Cup,
Yeah,
right? And it is a process. It is a lengthy process. The tickets are sold strictly by FIFA. It's not done by a third-party vendor like Ticketmaster or StubHub or any
correct,
of these third parties. It's
correct, correct,
strictly done with FIFA.
correct.
The first phase was lottery system, right? And the way it was done was, out of 32 teams qualifying for the World Cup, only 24 or 25 had qualified. So
Right,
we didn't even, the groups were not even formed. So
right,
literally, when you were going to buy tickets, you were buying tickets for the stadium at the kickoff time, and A1 versus A3 or C3
right,
versus,
right,
and you didn't know who you would get. So
right,
you're like blind bidding, choosing, right? Now you could go crazy and choose everything you want, but
right.
guess what? Once you don't pay up front, so
Right,
you
just
just
for the
choose your
booking.
stuff.
Right,
Exactly, you choose your stuff, you put in your bid, and the window closes, and then FIFA,
and
after
then you
2 weeks, the
pray,
window closes.
and then
Yeah,
you
and then you wait and pray. You hope, you're like, oh, hopefully I
right,
get it, right?
right,
And then FIFA gets back to you saying, hey, you won it,
right,
and this was your bid, and you bid for X amount of tickets. Now you owe us this amount of money.
right, right, right,
So so if you went crazy thinking, like, click 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 click, I'm gonna go with like everything, and you're successful, and you're like, FIFA's like, hey, you owe us $10,000.
It's
So,
crazy.
well, the ticket prices too. It was like for the group stages, the ticket prices were they were ranging from $75
Hmm.
to $250,
Right.
which I think
Canadian,
was
right?
pretty decent. Pretty
Canadian.
decent.
Right. Canadian.
Canadian, yeah.
Yeah.
And the finals was $750 was the cheapest, and the highest was $2,000. And there's
Right.
only three levels of tickets.
Right.
That's it,
Right.
right? Which again, compared to like the Super Bowl or the NBA or the NHL, $2,000 to for a World Cup final that happens every 4 years, I don't
Right.
think it's much,
No, no,
right?
no. Compared to
So
like some of our NBA playoff games and things of that sort, it's
exactly, right?
nowhere
Like
close.
I remember Toronto Raptors, shout out, we made the playoffs.
Yeah, yeah.
When they went to the finals, I know people were selling on Kijiji and stuff for like $5,000, 6,000,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
So
Yep.
so yeah, and I did the process. I created the profile. You have to put in your passport information.
Right.
You have to create a profile, your address, everything like that. I chose my games that I wanted,
Right.
and the window closed. And I didn't. 17 million people applied for it.
Right.
Sorry, 17 million applications went in
Right.
with the lottery,
Right.
and I was unsuccessful. And my dad, man, bless his soul, he loves football, and I was so happy for him. He actually was successful in his bid. He won the lottery,
Right.
and he was smart too. He chose the group games
Right.
and the first group game. So he won tickets to 4 group games.
Wow. Okay. Nice.
Yeah,
Very nice.
yeah, and he didn't know what teams he was going to watch. All he knew was he's watching the A3 versus A4 and stuff like that. Right?
Right.
That's all.
Right.
And when the group stage was done, is when he realized what teams he's watching.
Right.
So that's how it's done. That's just the first phase.
Right.
And after the first phase finished, they had a first come, first serve window, which you were talking about earlier.
Right. Right.
I stood in the line as well, the digital line,
Right.
and I had to wait for 6 hours to get in. It was such a slow process.
Yeah, I know.
But it was an eye opener because once I did get in,
Hmm.
it was very easy to navigate it and to choose what I want. Of course, it's the hot ticket item. The finals and the semifinals were all sold out.
Hmm. Hmm.
I was able to snag quarterfinal tickets.
Right. Right.
And now I remember you also had an opportunity. You were thinking of like buying those tickets and flipping them if you couldn't go.
Yeah, if worst case scenario, right? Like that was the plan. Like, because again, the one thing that I realized after reading through those terms and conditions is you have to have a hire card, I believe, um, which is then issued to people that have the FIFA ticket, and it's also based on the government of Qatar to give you permission, and there's a whole bunch of regulations. Personally, I wasn't too concerned about any of those things. It just would be my availability to be able to travel at that time of the year was my biggest concern, right? And then having tickets that I wouldn't be able to go, so then it would be literally, they'd be perfect memorabilia for for tickets that I never ended up going for.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and you can't even sell these tickets. You can't actually
yeah,
auction them off. It's a very
exactly.
lengthy process. I think you can transfer them. That's what they say. You can transfer it, but if you transfer it at the face value, and it's a
It's a
very
very,
lengthy
very
process.
lengthy process. Yeah, I looked through the terms and conditions. Even the transferring, it's again that other person has to have had, already been granted permission to, they would have had to have their visa, a hire card, all of that stuff. Only then could they have, transferred it. I'm sure that, over time that they will come around and they will find a way to kind of transfer the tickets because it is all in the spirit of the game and sharing and that type of stuff, right? So it is and
FIFA doesn't care about all that. They just care about the money. They just want the money, man. That's all.
yeah,
That's all they care about.
and the money should be in the right
Um,
hands. That's what it is, right?
yeah, and then speaking of FIFA, so the second phase is actually open right now.
Right,
It's a lottery system again.
right,
So now all the teams have qualified.
right,
All the teams are divided into groups.
right,
So now when you go onto FIFA's website, you can actually go and choose what games you want. So you can actually see Brazil versus Cameroon or
Right, right,
versus Argentina, and you can
right,
choose.
right.
It's a bit more, what you're bidding for,
What you're expecting in the stadium
what you're
that day.
expecting, right?
Right,
Like when my dad, when he won his tickets, he got tickets for B1 versus B2,
right,
and he had no idea what B1 versus B2 was. And
right.
literally, me and my dad, we were like, when they did the FIFA draw, we are just waiting to see what comes out of
Yeah,
pot B.
yeah,
And the first thing that came out was Argentina. We were like, yeah, Dad, you're going to go see Argentina.
yeah.
So until then, he didn't know
Right,
who's
right,
going to go watch.
right, right,
So, but
right.
now you know exactly, right? And again, it's a draw, right? It's a lottery system.
Yeah,
So anybody can go. It's open right now. It's until April 28th.
right.
You can go and you can choose what games you want. And once the lottery window closes, April 28th, then FIFA will tell you,
Yeah,
say, hey, listen, you were successful or unsuccessful. And I think after that, again, they'll open another window where it's first come, first serve. And then there's another third phase, which I don't know yet. I think once we get closer to that,
I guess
whatever
that'll
tickets
roll
are
out.
remaining, they yeah.
Yeah,
So it's a very lengthy process. If you think about it, the tournament is happening in end of November. November
right,
third week is when it starts.
right,
We're in April, and the ticket buying process has already started.
right.
Just to show that it's such a global game, you have people coming from all over the world. So people have to, get airline tickets and hotel accommodations and stuff like that. And you were born in Doha. You know how small the country
It's
is.
a very
So
small country compare, and I mean they did increase the size of the airport over the years. They've increased the size of the country over the years by actually bringing in sand from outside the country and filling in the sea to actually expand the size of the country. That's how they've actually legitimately expanded it. But to help with that effort, they've also, I believe, asked Iran, right, to
yeah, it was in the news the other day. It was very groundbreaking because with the whole geopolitical situation in the Middle
correct,
East,
right,
right? So Iran, the southern part of Iran, they have an island which is like a 40-minute flight from there to Qatar
right,
or a 5 hour boat ride.
boat ride, right.
Yeah. So they just had a meeting yesterday or day before yesterday where Qatar and Iran had this agreement where World Cup visitors can stay in Iran, in the southern part of Iran. I think it's a resort town,
Right, it
and they
is.
can commute, and they're gonna run like shuttle flights.
Right.
That's how crazy. That's how small the Doha is, right?
Yeah.
They're gonna run shuttle flights from Iran to Qatar just for these FIFA visitors, right? And there's also talks of cruise ships
Yeah.
being anchored off the coast of Qatar that will serve as hotel accommodation
Right.
for uh,
Right.
World Cup visitors.
Right. Right. No, I can see that
So it's
happening because again, Qatar being a peninsula, it's covered by water on three sides, so a lot of sea and conveyance to Iran is actually not too far. Funny enough, my
yeah.
dad actually worked for an Iranian bank when we were living in Qatar. So
Oh,
yeah, the
is he going to?
I don't know. I should be asking him that question. Given maybe they could get him stay in Iran and then go see the game in Qatar, right?
Yes, yeah.
It'd be kind of
And
perfect.
then the unique thing about this whole World Cup is like it's such a small country as you mentioned.
Yeah.
Like all 8 stadiums are situated like within like in close proximity.
Oh yeah.
I think the farthest stadium is 40 minutes away from the city center,
Right.
which is nothing, right? And then usually in past World Cups, you would have you would have in Russia or in Brazil, where different cities would host different
Yeah.
games,
Right.
and you would take like maybe like 3 hour flight just to go to different
Different city.
cities to watch these games.
Yeah.
And the cities would only host fans for teams that are playing in that stadium. So the
Right.
fans would descend on the city
Right.
a day or 2 days prior to the game. Once the game would get over, they would leave.
Right.
But now in Qatar, for the entire month, or at least for the group stages,
Is every
32 countries' fans will all be crammed into that one country.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's going to be like a really carnival type atmosphere, I believe, because
Yeah.
everyone's there.
Yeah.
And I guess as teams start getting kicked out, round of 16, more country fans who were kicked out, they would leave, and teams who advanced, their fans would start coming in, right?
Right,
So
right,
it's going to
right,
be very interesting. I'm looking forward to it. As I said, like I was able to snag quarterfinal tickets, so I will be going out there. My dad's already there,
right,
um, so it'll be fun. I'm looking forward to it, and I did put in another request for tickets.
right.
So let's see if I'm successful in this lottery system, man.
Yeah. No, and that's interesting because Qatar as a country, if I'm not mistaken, and I'm just looking this up right now because I'm interested because as far as I remember, yeah, that's correct. 11,571 square kilometers, and and Ontario is 1 million square kilometers. So the province that we live in is is quite a bit bigger than Doha, Qatar as a country. Forget the just to put that into perspective. Like Ontario is 1 million square kilometers, and Doha is 11,571 square kilometers. So it's quite a bit smaller in terms of size. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Fond
it'll be
memories.
interesting.
Yeah,
Of course, everybody knows how Qatar came about to even winning this bid to host
yeah,
the World Cup.
yeah,
There's a lot of FIFA corruption and stuff. That's a whole other
yeah,
podcast episode.
yeah,
There's a lot of corruption and stuff like that. But I think it's good for the now that they've won it, right? I think it's good for the region,
yeah,
right? It's good for people like who have not experienced that region,
yeah.
right? To go out there. Dubai is like probably an hour or 2 hour flight from there as well.
Correct.
Oman is another beautiful country which a lot of
Right,
people don't know about, right?
right,
You could go visit Oman, which is
right,
nearby as well.
right.
So it's going to be interesting. It's I think Africa hosted the World Cup.
Yeah.
We had Japan and South Korea host the World Cup. We had South America,
And
U.S.,
Russia.
Canada again in 2026.
Yeah.
So it's about time like Middle East hosted one, and yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
No, I definitely am because the other thing is also one thing that they're doing after the World Cup is done is they will be airlifting portions of the stadium to parts of Africa, other impoverished pieces. So the World Cup, the World Cup event is now shared with the rest of the world, and Qatar not necessarily needing that large stadiums. It doesn't make sense to have all that.
Exactly. Like
Yeah.
on that topic, there's a stadium called Stadium 974,
Mm-hmm.
which was built strictly with shipping containers,
Right.
and it's such a unique, like looking stadium too, right? Like all
Right.
shipping containers.
Right.
And as you mentioned, after the World Cup, they're just gonna like take the shipping containers and dismantle it and just
Right.
like ship it off. So literally like a Lego piece put together for this World
It's
Cup, and
very
then they're gonna take it.
modular, right?
Yeah, very modular, exactly. Like I think that's the one of the biggest what do you call sticking points for like environmentalists,
Right,
where FIFA goes into these countries like South Africa,
right,
2010, where
right,
they went in and then they built like these $1 million stadiums, right,
right.
billion even, and
And now they're just
they
left in
have this
desolation.
legacy where they're just sitting there and they're just run down
Yeah,
now because you can't use it,
right.
right? You don't have that capacity. You don't have those football
Matches
history,
that, yeah, and you don't have that level of, fervorship, fanship, any of that stuff,
fanship
right? Yeah,
exactly to fill those stadiums. So,
right,
and now they're just sitting there collecting dust.
right,
So I think with Qatar, they've learned those lessons. And like Stadium 974 is one.
hmm,
There's another stadium where they've said they're going to like convert it into like a shopping mall as well. And they're going to take
yeah,
out some sections in the upper tiers.
yeah,
So they have this long term vision where the
hmm,
stadiums will remain, but they're not going to sit there and collect dust,
right.
and they will be used, right? Or in some stadiums, it's completely dismantled and sent to third world countries or any other countries that want to host sporting events of this caliber.
Right, right. Which I think is a great thing. So hopefully, I mean, there it brings the world together in a different way because we've obviously gone through almost 2 years at this point in time, coming on 3 years of this crazy madness of pandemic that we've had. So hopefully these things change. But talking about crazy things that are happening in the world, there was a really interesting article that I came across from Bihar about a bridge being stolen. Did
Oh, you know what? When you sent me this article,
yeah,
like when I just saw the headline, and I was like, man, this can't be true. This is like satire, right?
right,
This is like Ryan is just pulling my leg. This can't be true.
right,
But Bihar, like in India, where they had this bridge.
yeah,
I guess they had the bridge, but then they created another bridge or a
yeah.
toll road.
It was simultaneously because I think this bridge was an older bridge.
Yeah,
The other one was newer, a little more, a little more robust, and the government probably spent a little more money on it. And I
exactly. And then this bridge was not being used.
right,
And like with steel and iron, whatever this bridge was made of, um, it's a hot commodity. You could strip it and you could sell it, and that's what these savvy thieves started doing. Where they would come in the night and they would like start taking out like dismantling parts of the bridge and small portions, and then nobody small enough that nobody paid attention to it,
correct.
and until one day the bridge completely disappeared.
Overnight, they went off and took off the rest of the bridge.
And these thieves have just gotten away with like the crime of the decade or whatever it is for that city. That's the
Right,
biggest thing that happened to the city, where these thieves just like took off with that bridge,
a full
and now
bridge,
they're gonna, huh?
a full bridge. I'm saying,
A
like a
full
full,
bridge, yeah.
yeah,
Now they're like pawning away the steel and this like metal
yeah.
for untold riches. So
But I believe it's not
and
the first time, right?
no, it's not the first time either. Like I was reading about it, and I know in like Czech Republic in 2012, I believe, or
Right,
2014.
right.
Yeah, some thieves stole not, and these thieves, the way they stole it was kind of funny too. They dressed up as city workers, so they had like city vests, and they showed up, and they're like, "Oh, we were hired by the city to dismantle this bridge,"
Right.
and nobody said anything. And then these thieves in the broad daylight dismantled the bridge, and they just like took off.
It's crazy. I mean, we laugh about it, but it's crazy thought, right? It's crazy that
Yeah, it is,
someone it would
and
fill.
it's and,
Sorry, yeah, go
and it's
ahead.
funny too. Like we think like this, it happened in India and outside of Bihar.
Yeah,
It happened in Czech Republic, like another Eastern European country. But even in U.S. in 2011 in Pennsylvania,
yeah,
like thieves took off with like $100,000 worth of bridge,
right,
right?
right.
So, man, like crazy things have happened, and like I think it's just like the savviness of these thieves. Like these novel ideas, novel ways to like
I guess, yeah.
um, capers. You think about like Ocean's 11, Ocean's 12, like those kind of capers.
Right, right. Absolutely crazy. Absolutely crazy. No, it's been it's wonderful catching up and having this great conversation. I'm glad we could talk about the FIFA and the ticketing process and all of that. And that brings us then to what are you doing for the rest of the week? How's any plans for your weekend?
No, nothing, man. Just working, and the evening time, like Ramadan stuff, like
Yeah,
iftar parties and stuff like that.
yeah,
Uh, just doing with that stuff. And what about you, man? Any plans for
yeah.
you?
This weekend actually marks a big significant weekend for most Christians, right? Celebrating they're celebrating Easter. So Good Friday happens on
Oh,
Friday, and then Easter is on Sunday, and it's time for reflection. And similar to Ramadan, we've gone through a period of Lent where we've had to sort of reflect on things that we could do better and try to be better. That's kind of the focus as well. But yeah, so Easter's this weekend, and to all the folks that are celebrating, happy Easter, right? And
so that was going to be my next question.
yeah,
Is it like, do you wish on Good Friday, or like Happy Easter?
it's
Like,
actually happy Easter. So Good Friday marks the death of Jesus Christ on the cross.
okay.
It marks his crucifixion. Uh, according to religious texts, he's supposed to have died at 3 o'clock in the afternoon on Friday on Good Friday, and then he's risen on Sunday. Hence the greeting of Happy Easter, as in he's risen at that point in time. Yeah. So
So then, these Cadbury eggs
Yeah,
Easter Monday. What is that?
it's just a reason to eat chocolate.
So there's no religious significance.
Not directly. So what has happened is, through the Middle Ages, there was a lot of pagan religions that were going around, and one of them was with fertility and rabbits being very fertile, and that spring sort of they're very fertile in that sort of season, right? Because usually they're starting to have babies. Their babies are starting to be born in that season. So it's a way to celebrate that piece of it, which is why they had the rabbit for the Easter bunny, and then the
Oh,
yeah, and then the eggs are sort of also in the same line around new life and things of that sort. So I guess they've kind of had several pagan rituals that have kind of been brought in through marketing and everything else, and then it's become this big ritual. But like I mean, on the actual Easter front, you're not eating. It's not eggs. It's usually a good meal. You have a nice meal with your family, and it's a chance to celebrate, and you try and eat other sweets, maybe some cake and other desserts, depending
some
on.
marzipan.
Yeah, some marzipan, right? That would be nice.
Now the 40 days of Lent. This
Yeah.
is up. So what did you give up for that? Because I remember in high school you used to give up like chocolates and like
Yeah,
different stuff.
yeah. So I mean, as I've grown older, the things that I try to give up are things that I strive for. So personally, like things like what I give up this year was my sort of my resolve to do things in laziness. So I tried to give up laziness. That was one of the things that I tried to focus on. So trying to be diligent every day when I wake up in the morning to set myself, a schedule to say, this is what I want to accomplish and this is what I want to do. And just being more mindful of my time. That's, I think, something that I focused on this Lent. I actually, yeah, it's something that I'm proud to say that I was a little more productive this Lent than I was most other Lents. So,
Interesting. Good
yeah,
to know, man.
yeah,
And like one last question
yeah.
before we wrap up.
Why the
Ash
40
Wednesday.
days? Why
No,
the four?
Ash Wednesday.
Yeah, yeah,
Is it part of this as well?
yeah. So 40 days actually marks the time period. I mean, the reason 40 days is used is because Jesus, prior to actually starting his ministry, his preaching ministry, he's supposed to spend 40 days in the desert, right? And then with fasting and prayer, and then he goes through these sort of tests with the devil, and that whole thing. So that's kind of that 40-day period is what's then used as reflection. But Ash Wednesday marks the beginning of the period of Lent. So as of Ash Wednesday, Lent begins from that point in time.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
cool.
And Ash Wednesday is a reminder that, ashes to ashes, dust to dust, meaning you came from ashes and you return to ashes. So make the most of what you have in between. That's it.
Yeah,
Right?
very interesting.
Right?
Well, thanks for that, Ryan. Like I know growing up,
Yeah.
I had you as a Catholic friend. I had
Right.
other Catholic friends as well.
Right.
So I get to know, and the more you know, the more you understand other religions, and it brings like more harmony and
Right.
togetherness.
Definitely.
So thanks for that.
Yeah.
And on that note, man, I wish you and your family a happy Easter,
Thank you.
and
Thank you. And same to you
hopefully
and your
some
family.
Cadbury eggs.
Yeah.
And on that note, I
Kinder
know I
Surprise.
should.
Oh, on that note, Kinder Surprise. So Kinder actually had a recall recently. So for those that don't know, apparently there was some salmonella situation that's happening with Kinder. So if anyone's bought in Kinder for Easter or for the weekend, please go return it and don't eat it. As much as I love Kinder Surprise.
Say, apart from Kinder, there's another McDonald's.
Hmm.
They have the cream egg McFlurries.
Oh yeah. Yes. Yes.
I look forward to Easter because of the cream egg McFlurries. That's the best. That's the best McFlurry flavor out
Awesome. Awesome. Well, I
there.
think
Yeah.
I think that should kind of help us wrap up this session of Chai Tea Naan Bread. Thank you for joining us again. Ramzan Kareem to all those that are celebrating. And I'm hoping we have another episode just before Eid so we can wish our viewers a happy Eid as well. But happy Easter to those that are celebrating, to you and your families. Once again, from myself, Reiner, and Imran, have a wonderful evening, a day,
Take care.
night, and see you soon. Like, subscribe, and all those fun things, right? Anyway, take care.